ഹലോ ഫ്രണ്ട്സ്, എല്ലാ കൂട്ടുകാർക്കും പുതിയ വീഡിയോയിലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം. ഇന്ന് BBC-യും മൈക്രോസോഫ്റ്റും ചേർന്ന് നിർമ്മിച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു പുതിയ വീഡിയോയെക്കുറിച്ചാണ് നമ്മൾ പരിചയപ്പെടുന്നത്. മനുഷ്യനെ എന്നും വിസ്മയം കൊള്ളിക്കുന്ന, മനുഷ്യനറിയാത്ത ഒരുപാട് അത്ഭുതങ്ങൾ ഉള്ളിലൊളിപ്പിച്ച, മനുഷ്യരെ മെരുങ്ങാത്ത ശക്തിശാലിയാണ് സമുദ്രങ്ങൾ, ഓഷ്യൻസ്. നമ്മുടെ ഗ്രഹത്തിൻ്റെ 70% സമുദ്രങ്ങളാൽ ചുറ്റപ്പെട്ട് കിടക്കുന്നു. ലോക ജനസംഖ്യയുടെ 40% ജനങ്ങൾ സമുദ്രത്തിൻ്റെ 609 മൈൽ ചുറ്റളവിലാണ് ജീവിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. എന്നിട്ടും സമുദ്രത്തെക്കുറിച്ച് വളരെ കുറഞ്ഞ കാര്യങ്ങളെ നമുക്കറിയുകയുള്ളൂ. ഈ വീഡിയോയിലൂടെ നമ്മൾ പരിചയപ്പെടുന്നത് സമുദ്രത്തിൻ്റെ പുതിയ അത്ഭുതങ്ങളെക്കുറിച്ചാണ്. വിദ്യാർത്ഥികളെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം ഒരേ സമയം കൗതുകം ജനിപ്പിക്കുന്നതും അറിവ് പകർന്നു നൽകുന്നതുമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു വീഡിയോയാണ് BBC-യും മൈക്രോസോഫ്റ്റും നമുക്ക് വേണ്ടി തയ്യാറാക്കിയിട്ടുള്ളത്. സമുദ്രങ്ങളെക്കുറിച്ചുള്ള പുതിയ അറിവുകളാണ്, ഏറ്റവും ലേറ്റസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള വിവരങ്ങളാണ് ഈ വീഡിയോയിലൂടെ നമുക്ക് ലഭിക്കുന്നത്. ബോട്ടിൽ നോസ് ഡോൾഫിനുകളിൽ നിന്ന് ആരംഭിച്ച് വിവിധങ്ങളായ സമുദ്രങ്ങളുടെ നിഗൂഢതകളിലേക്ക് യാത്രകൾ ചെയ്യുകയും പുതിയ പുതിയ അറിവുകൾ സയൻറ്റിസ്റ്റുകളും സമുദ്ര പര്യവേഷകരും നമുക്കായി തുറന്നു വച്ചിരിക്കുന്നു. യഥാർത്ഥത്തിൽ ബഹിരാകാശത്തെക്കുറിച്ച് മനുഷ്യൻ എത്രത്തോളം വിവരങ്ങൾ ശേഖരിച്ചുവോ അത്ര പോലും വിവരങ്ങൾ സമുദ്രത്തിൻ്റെ നിഗൂഢതകളെക്കുറിച്ച് നമുക്ക് ലഭ്യമായിട്ടില്ല എന്നതാണ് യാഥാർത്ഥ്യം. സമുദ്രങ്ങളെക്കുറിച്ചുള്ള പുതിയ അത്ഭുതങ്ങൾ അടുത്തറിയാൻ ഈ വീഡിയോ എല്ലാവരും വാച്ച് ചെയ്യുക. താങ്ക് യു.
Untamable and mighty. The oceans are our last true wilderness. They cover 70% of the surface of our planet. Their power can fill us with awe. And at times fear. But today, we are also beginning to reveal their hidden wonders. Off the wild coast of South Africa, bottlenose dolphins face some of the roughest seas on Earth. But for them, big waves are an opportunity for play. And why do they do it? To build friendships and strengthen family bonds. And also for the sheer joy of it. There is so much more to discover about our oceans and their importance to us. Over 40% of us live within 60 miles of the sea, but it is still the least known part of our planet. Today, scientists and filmmakers are heading out to explore the seven seas. Equipped with the latest technology, their mission is to bring us a new understanding of life beneath the waves. At a time when the health of our oceans is increasingly under threat, this has never been more urgent. Our journey begins in the warm, clear shallows of the tropics. Home to coral reefs. They occupy less than 1% of the ocean floor. Yet, they are home to a quarter of all marine species. Competition is fierce in these crowded underwater cities. We are learning just how noisy they are, with state-of-the-art underwater microphones. Amazingly, fish can talk to each other. But sometimes, it's better to stay quiet. On Australia's Great Barrier Reef, One character is challenging our understanding of fish intelligence. This is a tusk fish. He does something few would have believed a fish could do. Every morning, he makes a journey out to the edge of the reef. He is looking for breakfast. A clam. But how to crack it open and get to the meat inside? He carries it all the way back to his special kitchen. A bowl-shaped coral with a particular bump inside that he always uses. It's not easy if you have no hands. Oops. Dropped it again. But he's got great determination. At last. So here's a fish that uses a tool. Some fish are much cleverer than we ever thought. Even ocean creatures that we already knew were smart are continuing to surprise us. This bottlenose dolphin mum is about to teach her calf an important lesson here in the Red Sea. She leads him to a particular bush-like coral called a gorgonian. The family rub themselves through the fronds. The calf is watching and learning. Gorgonian fronds are covered with a mucus that can have anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties. So maybe the dolphins are doing this to protect themselves from infection. The calf may be too young to join in, but his family's secret knowledge of the coral reef is teaching us to search for new medicines here too. As we leave the tropics and head into cooler waters, we enter the temperate seas. These are home to mysterious undersea forests. Giant kelp, a seaweed, towers 200 feet high, growing 2 feet a day under the summer sunshine. Marine plants are the lungs of our planet. They pump out as much oxygen as all the forests and grassy plains on land. Within their tangled undergrowth, extraordinary discoveries await. In the shark-filled kelp forests of southern Africa lives one brave little octopus. Pajama sharks are every octopus's worst nightmare. But the octopus has a trick up her sleeve. In a behavior previously unknown to science, she disguises herself with shells, creating a suit of armor. The shark can sense its prey. But the shells protect her. Superior wits allow this octopus to stay alive. But just as we're getting to know these forests, we're recognizing their vulnerability. Off North America's Pacific coast, great stands of kelp are being felled by armies of ravenous sea urchins. They munch through the roots with razor-sharp teeth. But some kelp forests here have unlikely guardians. Sea otters. Because they live their entire lives in such cool waters, they need to eat 30% of their body weight a day to stay warm. One of their favorite foods is sea urchin. By removing the urchins, the otters allow the forests to flourish. And with all this food, they're having a baby boom. Now, in a few remote areas, sea otters are creating vast rafts in numbers not seen for more than a century. As we leave our coasts and head for the high seas, we enter the open ocean. Covering over half our planet's surface, it's the world's greatest wilderness. A vast, empty void where there's nowhere to hide and little to eat. And yet it's home to vast numbers of dolphins. Spinner dolphins. They sweep this marine desert for food in a superpod 5,000 strong. And they're leading this research vessel to a rare feeding event. But to find it, they have to be fast. Using echolocation, they lock on to their prey. Great shoals of lanternfish. By pinning the school against the surface, the dolphins keep this fleeting opportunity alive. But all this food attracts other predators. Yellowfin tuna. rip through the lanternfish in a whirling carousel at 40 miles an hour. Now the sea begins to boil. Finally, Mobula rays, with 10-foot wingspans, swoop in. In just 15 minutes, all that's left is a silvery confetti of scales. These fleeting events are becoming rarer as we continue to overfish our high seas. The open ocean may be featureless, but isolated volcanic peaks rise abruptly from deep water. Hinting at a secret world below. The deep ocean is as challenging to explore as space. We know more about the surface of Mars than we do about the deep sea. Now, from the research vessel Alusha, we can dive these uncharted depths to discover our final frontier. As we descend, the pressure increases relentlessly. 600 feet down, we enter an alien world, the Twilight Zone. A pyrosome, a tube of jelly, 6 feet long. And stranger still, barrel eye. A fish with a transparent head, so that it can look up through its skull. Eventually, we reach the deep sea floor. A layer of mud, in places a mile thick. Over time, the mud here slowly decays. creating volcanoes of methane gas. The deep may be hostile, but it's also home to the weird and wonderful. Dancing crabs, called yetis, because of their hairy arms, on which they farm bacteria to eat. A Dumbo octopus, with ear-like fins to hover above the muddy sea floor. There are also corals here, with more species than on shallow tropical reefs. Astonishingly, we're now finding there's more life down here than anywhere else on Earth. This may seem an alien world, but we are more closely connected to the deep than we ever thought possible. Thanks to great ocean currents. These begin at the frozen poles. Here in Antarctica, the surface waters are so cold and heavy that they sink. That creates immense rivers of water that flow into the deep, where they power a global network of currents. These currents flow from the frozen poles to the warm tropics and back again, linking every ocean. They redistribute heat around the planet, maintaining a climate favorable for life on Earth. From producing the oxygen we breathe to controlling our weather, the oceans are our life support system. But just as we're discovering how dependent we are on the oceans, there are worrying signs that they are warming at a faster rate than ever before in human history. And nowhere is this more extreme than in the Arctic. Walrus prefer to rest on sea ice. But with less ice than ever before, hundreds of quarrelsome mothers now have to haul out on dry land. It's far from an ideal nursery. Nor is it safe from polar bears. A full-grown male walrus is too big for a bear to tackle. So it's looking for a walrus baby. This young mother needs to find somewhere for her pup to rest. The only safe places are the last remaining pieces of floating ice. The trouble is that they're slippery. And wobbly. And some walrus pups are just too heavy. The best icebergs are already full. It only takes another one-ton mum to tip the balance. Finding a safe place on these melting shores becomes harder and harder. Solving these problems together helps create a bond so strong that the mother and her youngster will stay in contact for the rest of their lives. Just as we're beginning to understand the sophisticated lives of sea creatures, so we begin to recognize the fragility of their home. As we explore every part of the remote seas, and meet astonishing animals. We've begun to appreciate the importance of our oceans. There has never been a more crucial time to continue this journey of discovery. Because our future too depends on a healthy blue planet. And who knows what other secrets are out there, waiting to be discovered.
The first time I saw the tuskfish cracking a clam open on its little anvil, I was just gobsmacked. He must have hit it well over 50 times. We call him Percy, Percy the Persistent.
No one has previously dived to 1,000 meters in Antarctica. It is exciting, it is thrilling, and yet it's also slightly terrifying.
Control, Deep Rover. My depth is 1,000 meters on bottom, over.
We can't explore the deep ocean remotely without actually going there ourselves. And we're the first to do that here.
It's an ordeal to get it going because it's a big, giant piece of equipment. But we now have it. We're heading out to find some walrus. We just had our first successful shoot with the Megadome, and it was great. I mean, it was that classic shot of an iceberg where 6/7 of the berg is underwater, and then on top was 2 walrus.
I'm feeling pretty nervous. It's a big swell out there. This will probably be the biggest seas I think I've ever been out in. The wave actually hit the back of the sled, hit a big bump and almost bounced off trying to hold the camera and just rode out of it. Just another day at the office.